Are you struggling to stand out in a crowded job market and feeling overwhelmed by the job search process? Do you want to learn insider tips and strategies to become the top candidate that employers are looking for? Are you ready to level up your career and unlock your full potential? If you said yes to any of these questions, then today's live training on how to master your job search and differentiate its top talent to get hired is for you. We're going to dive deep into practical strategies and tips that will help you confidently navigate the job search landscape and rise above the competition. Hello, hello. Welcome to the Dare Differentiate show. The purpose of the show is to help you own your voice, value, and visibility with confidence. Whether you're tuning in live or watching the replay, I am so delighted that you're here. Comment to let me know, where are you tuning in from? I would also like to hear from you. What is your profession and what industry you are in? This is also a great opportunity for you to network with others. So comment to let us know, what's your profession, what's your industry, and where are you tuning from? So for example, it could be, I'm a marketing strategist in financial services based in Toronto, Canada. So let us know here and feel free to interact with each other. All right, I'm your host, Diana YK Chan, LinkedIn Top Voice of 2022, LinkedIn Learning Instructor, and founder of Marketability. As a career coach, speaker, and an expert in career pivoting and personal branding, I'm here to help you stand out, get hired, and earn more. If we're not connected yet, be sure to follow me on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram at Diana YK Chan. All right, so today's training is about 60 minutes long. I'm going to have about probably half an hour for Q&A. So it'll be up to like an hour and a half long. If you can't attend the whole training session, that's totally okay. There is a replay available. Keep track of where you left off and catch the replay on my YouTube channel later on, where timestamps will be added. Okay. All right, so let me just check in to say hello to see who's in the house here. All right, hi Leanne, hi Teresa, Aiden, all right, from Atlanta, Michigan. All right, amazing. Who else do we have here? All right, Martha, marketing executive in the legal industry. Amazing. Okay. Wow. Okay, there's a lot of you here today on both live or on LinkedIn, YouTube, and my Facebook here. Amazing, amazing. Okay, so let's get the party started, shall we? Let me share with you. I prepared a presentation for you here today so that it'll be easier for you to follow and to take notes. Okay, so what are we going to cover today? Today's agenda, let me share this with you here, is we're going to cover the common job search mistakes, the key to your job search success. There's going to be 4 pillars. How to stand out and get more opportunities. This is my signature formula that I've been teaching over and over here. And the signs of high potential talent, 10 steps to develop an effective job search plan and strategy, and how to leverage ChatGPT for your job search. So this is the agenda for today's training. If you're excited, type in a +1. Let me know that you're here. All right, let me just see with the audience here. We have a great live audience here on LinkedIn. Amazing, amazing. If you're excited, type in a +1. This is today's agenda on how to master your job search and differentiate as top talent. All right, so let's dive in here. All right, so a little bit about me. So for those who are new to my work here, I'm Diana YK Chan, an executive career coach and speaker at Marketability since 2011. And I'm known for being a career pivot and personal branding expert. I've been recognized as LinkedIn Top Voice, and I'm also a LinkedIn Learning Instructor. So some exciting news that I want to share with you. I am launching my next new LinkedIn Learning Nano course on April 10th on pivoting your career. So for those who are here today that who are interested in job search, I will also be covering this course on how to make career transition, how to evaluate change, how to overcome your fears, how to evaluate your career strategically to find the right fit. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you follow me or join my mailing list at mymarketability.com to get the link to this course there. I have served thousands of people globally, from entry-level to C-level executives in diverse industries and professions. So anywhere from automotive industry, banking industry, all the way to healthcare, tech, and pretty much all the core business functions that I have served clients in, whether it's human resources, sales, marketing, operations, product, data analytics, engineering, IT, you name it. So I have worked with a variety of ambitious professionals, leaders, and executives over the years. And primarily currently, what I do now is working with more established and experienced level professionals and executives, typically at the director level and above, to support with their career pivot, whether it's changing industries, changing careers, moving abroad, or reaching their next level role. So for some of you who don't know, I also, prior to starting my business, I also worked in corporate. I have a background in agency and corporate recruiting. So I used to work at Google as their first and only recruiter here in Canada to help them double their the office size here of people, where I primarily recruited for a lot of digital sales roles. And then in my agency recruiting days, I used to recruit in pharmaceutical, CPG industry, retail industry, logistics industry as well, in a variety of roles there. So I have seen millions of LinkedIn profiles, at least 25,000 resumes, conducted thousands of interviews. So I have a pretty good perspective of what are the red flags and what employers look for. I also did admissions in MBA and executive MBA admissions back in the day as well, recruiting for a top business school, where I was out there recruiting for top talent candidates to come to essentially invest in their MBA program there. And through that, I met a ton of people and had tons of interviews and reviewed tons of admissions applications there. And so I was really tasked to look at how to find essentially the top 2% of the talent in the market. And then lastly, I've also worked in management consulting at a big consulting firm called Accenture, primarily in human capital and training. And prior to that, I also worked in marketing, training, operations, and communications. So this gives you a bit of that, my diverse background of how I've been able to help serve my clients there over the years. So I want to ask all of you here, to kick things off, start a little bit of engagement is, what's your biggest job search challenge? I have a couple options here. Type in the comment to let me know. I want to hear from you. Is that number one, you lack clarity and direction of what you want to do next? Second, don't know how to stand out in terms of marketing and pitching yourself effectively? Or third, not sure how to approach the job search effectively. For some, you may have been working for quite some time and haven't had to look for a job in years and not sure how to start. Fourth, not getting interviews. You're applying, but not getting called back. Or lastly, you are getting interviews, but you're not closing. You're not moving forward there. So let me know in the comments what's your biggest job search challenge? If you have another one here that's not listed, feel free to comment to let me know. I want to hear from you of what's your biggest job search challenge. Let's see here. All right. 3, not sure how to approach a job search. Okay. Mary said lack clarity. Jessica said don't know how to stand out. Okay, let me see what's the common one here. Lacking clarity seems like it's popping up. Oh, wow, I don't see number 2 as much. Don't know how to stand out. Usually that's pretty popular in terms of branding, marketing, selling yourself effectively. All right, number 4, not getting interviews there. Okay, so looks like majority is either lacking clarity or not getting interviews. Okay, so that's good to know there. All right. I'm going to cover some of those tips today, and feel free to ask me questions. I'm going to do my best to answer questions throughout, and we'll also have time at the end as well. So let's talk about the most common job search mistake. What I've seen as a coach is that number one job search mistake is majority of the people that I talk to is they solely rely on just applying for jobs online. And that's just one method of search. There are many different strategies and methods, but most people by default will be applying for jobs online because that's what they know. And here's the truth. Less than 3% of a chance of actually getting an interview, right? If you have on average at least 250, 300 people applying for one job, the chances of getting interviews is like less than 3%. So if you're primarily using that method, which I've seen, I would say at least 90% of the people I talk to, that's all they do, you're not going to get the most optimal results there. And so another common mistake that I see a lot of people make is oftentimes I get messages from people on LinkedIn where they reach out to me, Diana, I'm looking for a job. Can you review my resume or LinkedIn? Or I just need to refresh it. Can you help me out with that? And so I find oftentimes people just start with updating their resume, but don't necessarily have the clarity or strategy of what they're going after, how to go about doing it. So my key message here today is that you want to have a clarity and strategy before execution in order to get more effective results, right? This is I would say just from my years experience, it's pretty much by default. And as I was reflecting, when you think about it, I don't think we really learn how to search for a job effectively, right? Even when we were in school, we weren't really taught how to search for a job. And unless you had like really solid career management services, we were not really we were taught about that. Or even when we get a job, you don't necessarily get training on how to look for a job, right? And so this is why I would say job searching can feel lonely, can feel challenging, can feel frustrating there because we never necessarily had the necessary training to help us improve our results there. And so this is what I want to help with you today is to provide you these proven strategies and tips to help you increase your odds and chances of success there. Okay, amazing. Okay, so the 4 key pillars to job search success. This is what boils down to what I've seen that has been really effective, that has helped people to really land a job. The first is my first M, mindset, the mindset. So this is more about how you think, how you see yourself, what you tell yourself. So this ties into this whole confidence piece here. Do you value yourself? Do you see what you do matters? Are you contributing? And this is really, really important. Many, many years ago, I had a client who was getting interviews, but not closing. So, which means on paper, he was very marketable, but he was not moving forward to get the offer there. And as I was probing further, one of the questions I asked him is, what is your mindset going into this interview? Or what is your intention going into this interview? And he shared with me that he was going to the interview for the interviewers to find out what's wrong with him. That was his mindset going in. What's wrong with me? So if you're going to that mindset, that's what people are going to find out. What's wrong with you versus what makes you awesome, what makes you amazing, what makes you the ideal candidate. And so this is one of the foundation is how do you see yourself? And oftentimes I would say I hear people tell me that that was just part of my job or I just did my job there. And so it's so important to really look at not just the responsibilities of what you've done, but what did you do differently? What are you proud of? Right. So yesterday I was talking to a client, very, very experienced level program manager. And she's often the person where people will come to her when they have a strategy presentation mapped out, her the go-to person to review and get that feedback. And she loves helping others. And one of the things she wasn't able to figure out was like, what is the value that she really brought to the table? And one of the things that as we were probing further, was we talked about how she was able to really help essentially the people to have a more polished presentation, anticipate ahead, thinking of the big picture, connecting the dots. And so switching that mindset, that perspective of seeing, hey, like I'm just helping someone review a deck to like, I'm helping someone to really like think of the big picture and present themselves in the best light to senior management. And so this is a huge, huge piece there. Okay. The second is the messaging. The messaging all ties into how do you want to position yourself for success. So for those who are looking to make a career pivot, meaning if you want to change industries or profession, you need to really think about how to tailor your messages that is targeted to what you're going after versus what you've been doing for a long time. And this requires a lot of that personal branding and really understanding your value proposition in order to have the right messaging. And so really think about what is your primary messaging and what is your secondary messaging. So for example, I have a client recently where we are revamping their resume and LinkedIn documents. He is a technical implementation manager where he specializes in migrating marketing platforms. So even though he's in the marketing team, that he's really specialized in migrations, he doesn't want to be known. He's not a marketer. He is more a tech guy where he's known for doing migrations for these marketing CRM platforms there. And so the primary messaging that he wants to have is more being a technical implementation lead or expert versus being a marketer. So I want to challenge you to think about what is your primary messaging of how you want to sell yourself and how you want others to perceive you there. The third is marketing. So marketing is all about the promotion, like the campaigns, like how do you want to promote yourself? And I have to say, like most of us probably either don't feel comfortable or feel awkward promoting ourselves. I find a lot of times when I work with my clients who are either in marketing or sales, they understand it because they understand the importance of putting themselves out there to essentially generate awareness, credibility to get more opportunities. And so you really want to think about, besides applying online, how can I show up in my network or online to promote myself, to increase credibility. Whether it's sharing more content or sharing my story or talking to people, all these things are going to help you improve your marketability there. Okay. Next is meeting people. So this is all about networking, meeting people. So oftentimes I think about, right, you really want to leverage your network to amplify your reach to be considered for opportunities, right? We only see opportunities sometimes as what we see based on the job postings that are available, but there are these sometimes opportunities that are not yet posted yet. And so you want to talk to people who are either at your target companies, at in your profession or industry, to learn more of what's happening, what the trends are, and to share with them, hey, what is it that you bring to the table? What are you really passionate about? What kind of problems do you want to solve? So meeting people is a huge one to success. I would say from my experience, a lot of the clients that I work with, their success is a lot of based on also meeting people, networking beyond just applying online. And I have clients where when they first come to me, they feel that they're the huge introvert, feel afraid that they're going to get rejection, to really just feeling so confident and love networking. And so it doesn't matter whether you're introvert, extrovert, you can still put yourself out there to meet people, to expand your reach, and to uncover opportunities there. Okay, so these are the 4M. If someone could just type in there the 4M's of mindset, messaging, marketing, and meeting people, these are the 4 pillars of job search success, the 4M's. Okay, so great to see that we have an amazing audience here live on LinkedIn. Amazing, amazing. I have to tell you, this is one of the most popular training sessions that I've seen, that a lot of you, like I think it was over 250 of you signed up for this session. So I know it's highly relevant. So stay engaged with me, because I don't hear anything, but I do see you through the chats. For those, some of you, I know there are the silent supporters. That's totally okay as well, because if you want to be discreet with your job search, if you want to interact with me, you can also send me a DM through my LinkedIn later on as well. Okay, awesome. Okay, let's move on here. All right, so the next is how to stand out to get more opportunities. This is like the signature formula that I want to teach you how to stand out to get more opportunities. So first is you want to increase your marketability. So this is all about being more marketable so that you can be more in demand. And so these are things that you want to think about. First is about having a great personal brand. So having a great personal brand is about knowing who you are, what you're known for, what value you bring to the table. Okay, so this is a huge piece of work that I do with my clients when it comes to elevating their marketability, is that you want to have a solid personal brand, as that's going to help you elevate your market value, which means elevating your potential and earning more as well. And what I find is that when you have a strong personal brand, everything else of how you communicate your messaging becomes a lot more effective and easier. So this will help you with having a great elevator pitch, a better resume, and a stronger LinkedIn profile. So this is the marketability piece, is that you want to think about, how can I improve my brand, my resume, my elevator pitch, and LinkedIn profile. By doing that, you're going to also get more opportunities there. The second is you want to increase your visibility. This is all about being seen, right? Being known, being seen there. And what I mean by that is you really want to network. Going back to one of the core key pillars of success is networking, putting yourself out there. And this is why, like, being live with me here in this live stream, this is a great opportunity for you to meet other people, right? You can find accountability partners to help you with the job search, to empower one another as well. I can tell you from just the last few years of this pandemic here, I've met so many amazing people, friends, coaches, colleagues, clients, because of being just active on LinkedIn, having these networking conversations, informational chats, or eventually meeting in real life will really help you increase that visibility of being known and attracting more opportunities there, right? So another way is through content creation, right? Less than like 2% of people actually create content actively on LinkedIn. So if you want to increase that visibility, start creating content. Oftentimes I'll hear back from people who I haven't talked to in years, like some of my classmates, my alumni I haven't talked to like in like decades. And they'll often tell me like, Diana, I always see you in my feed. And it's probably because I'm like one of the very few people in their network who's actively creating content. And so I would say the last few years, I've been seeing more people creating content, whether it's sharing their story, sharing their expertise, whatever that is to help grow their following, but ultimately it's to get more opportunities there. Third, online engagement. So this goes back to the interaction piece there. It's not just about posting the content, but how do you engage with people, whether it's responding to the comment, giving thoughtful responses to people's content as well. That's all going to help you essentially get noticed and to start the relationship. I've had many people where I've met because they've commented on my content or I've commented on their content. And then we move into the DM conversations, the direct messages. And through that, we nurture that relationship. We then maybe perhaps get on like a quick Zoom call to meet. And then eventually, right, if we really want to stay in touch with the person to nurture those friendship further, is to meet in real life there. The third is the credibility, is you want to be recognized. Essentially be recognized. And what I mean by that is this ties into reputation. What are you known for? But do you also have a solid reputation, right? Are you considered someone who is trustworthy, reliable, someone that people want to work with, someone who delivers results? Like that's part of your reputation to help you get more opportunities. So you want to think about, as part of the branding and the reputation management, how am I positioning myself as someone who is like a trustworthy, high potential leader there? Next is the high potential talent. So this ties back into the performance, right? Really showcasing that you are delivering results for your organization. That is all going to help you get more opportunities. Next, testimonials. So getting testimonials is a great way to call it that social proof, right? Getting testimonials on LinkedIn, or if you can get some few testimonials that you can use for references, or I've seen some people where they add like a really powerful testimonial like in their resume, especially for those who are in sales. I've seen people have done that before as well. That is a great social proof for credibility there. Referrals. Referrals is also another great way, right? And once you have that credibility, getting referral to opportunities is a great way to open more doors of opportunities that you may have never thought of here. So I can tell you, even during my corporate days, like my job, how I got to recruit for Google, I did not apply for online. It was because of my MBA classmate referred me in. And that's how I got the job there. The opportunity, how I got through the MBA admissions, it was through another classmate of mine who knew that I was passionate about this space. And that's how I got the opportunity there. Okay. All right. So let me see. Let me see if there's a questions here. And I just want to a question, I think, from Jessica. How often do you post? I would say, you know what, it really depends. What is your preference? For those who are just starting out, it could be once a week. And then once you feel more comfortable, it could be every other day, like 3 times a week there. And then once you get the cadence, it could be every single day. So it's totally up to you. Most people probably start with like once a week, or twice a week, improve that, and then you improve that cadence once you feel more comfortable there. Okay. All right. The other question I see here from Ada is, how do you manage to move a conversation from LinkedIn to a DM to a Zoom call? That sounds hard for introverts. Oh, I love this question, Ada. Okay. Thank you for this question. Yeah. So this is interesting. Yes, it may feel hard, right? So what I want to encourage you to do first is start getting a habit of first really commenting more on people's content, meaning the more you do that, you're going to get noticed. This means the visibility increases, right? So they're going to remember you there. Like even for me, like I have people here who've been following me quite some time. They'll comment on my content or show up on my live stream and I recognize them. And so that essentially that familiarity helps with them moving to a DM conversation. And you start having what I call these small chats in terms of questions, like ask simple questions to be curious of getting to know people. And at the right timing, then that you feel like, hey, you feel like you have a more solidified relationship there. That's when you move like, hey, do you want to move this conversation to a Zoom virtual chat? Like meaning if you feel like there's something more to talk about, then it makes sense to move into a Zoom chat there. Okay. It takes time. This is not something that happens instant, although it can, right? I have had people where I literally just met them and we hop on a call. And usually I would say for me to say yes to that is either someone made an introduction that highly recommend me to talk to this person, or they are interested in learning about something like specific and they feel I can benefit from like my service there, then I'll hop on that call. But if it's very vague where people's like, can I pick your brain? It's hard for me to say yes to that because like, What do you want to pick my brain on? And so I think it's really important feeling, are you building trust and rapport? Like that's a very, very important, right? Do you feel like there is that connection? Do you feel like you can add value to this relationship there? Okay. Great question. Thank you for that, Ada. All right. Let me just do a little quick questions before I move into the next one. How do CEOs who've never met you before react to connection requests where you're interested in the company? How do CEOs who've never met you before react to connection requests? I don't know. It depends. It depends on the person, right? Of how would they react. I think to me, it goes back to how thoughtful your outreach is. I had many years ago, this was like a client of mine who reached out to the CEO on Twitter and had a really thoughtful video cover letter that was tailored to that company. And the CEO loved it and essentially got this person an interview there. And so I think it goes back to your thoughtfulness and strategy of how you're approaching the conversation, right? Like I often get messages from people just say like, hello, can we talk? I'm not going to respond to that because that's just too vague. But if someone's actually going to put thought, like I've been following for quite some time, this has been helpful, I want to learn more about this, that's going to start a conversation there, right? So it goes back to how are you approaching your outreach there, okay? So I'm just going to move on here because I have a lot to cover in the training. So the next piece, the fourth here is the likability. Be trustworthy, right? It's really, really key in terms of getting more opportunities. So this goes back to the connection that you have with the person. Your communication skills. Are you communicating effectively? Are you being clear, concise, and specific? The charisma and warmth. So this goes back to, right, in terms of your body language, your tone of voice. Do you sound like approachable, friendly? Do you come across as someone want to get to know you? These are more the soft skills, the warmth that's going to really help you build that trust and rapport there. And then lastly, it's the people skills. So I would say for those who feel like that you are either shy or not as not a strong communicator, this is where you can really invest in training of how improving the people skills, networking skills, communication skills. And that's going to help you nurture those relationships better there. Okay. So these are the four things to keep in mind when it comes to getting more opportunities on how to stand out: the markability, visibility, credibility, and likability. Okay. If this is helpful, type in a +1. Type in a +1 if this is helpful there. All right. All right. So my message here is stand out by being outstanding. Okay. So what I mean by that is raise the bar, go that extra mile, right? Because it's not crowded there, right? From my experience, when I go out to speak as a speaker, when I meet people, very few people actually follow up. And those who do, they stand out, right? Just by going that extra mile. Or when I was in recruiting, very few people, after I reached out to them, let's say it's not the right opportunity for them, will actually refer me to other candidates to consider. And when they do, they stand out. I'll remember them as well. Right. So think about things that you can do to add value or go above and beyond that will also impress others to start that relationship there. Okay. All right, so now I want to walk you through the signs of high potential talent. These are my P's of what I've learned throughout my years as a recruiter and as a coach of what you want to highlight to give the signal to the employer that you are high potential talent quality. Okay, first is the performance. So this is where you want to essentially go back to the credibility, talking about whether you are a high performer or not, or how you help the company get specific results or accomplishments, right? So not just responsibilities. You want to talk about the bottom line impact and contribution. And when you're able to do that, that gives us some of your high potential talent that you're ready for, like the next level challenge there. Second is the progression. So this is really like the storytelling, talking about how have you grown in your career? How have you grown as a leader? How have you improved your communication skills? Or how have you taken on more complex responsibilities or tasks, right? The progression piece. So that shows that you're ready for that next level type of challenge or opportunity there. The third is promotions. So this is where you want to talk about whether you've had a fast track promotion or an accelerated career, or you got promoted to a certain role because of your performance or because of the value that you brought to the table. These are all signs of high potential talent. When I was in recruiting at Google, I had to write very specific business cases to build a strong business case to get people hired. And these three things here I actually need to highlight, right? What was their performance? Like, were they considered like a top performer? What are the results they've got? The promotions, if they had like, let's say, 3 promotions in 5 years, like being very specific of that. And so you want to be able to talk about these things if you can, like to showcase you are high potential talent. Next is the personal brand. So this goes back to a bit of that reputation management. How are you managing your brand online, offline? How are you showcasing your accomplishments, results, right? It just all goes back to that self-awareness piece of how you're positioning yourself for success. Next, professional reputation. This ties into the branding as well. Like, what are you known for? What I talked about also earlier as well is when people think of you, what do they think about? Do they think about, these roles, certain opportunities or not? If not, how do you start planting those seeds? Another thing that ties into this professional piece is the professional skills, right? These days, there are more new roles being created. And so there are a lot of like these skills that you can invest to elevate your marketability and your potential there, right? Skills such as adaptability, change management, communication, influence, problem solving. These are all great skills to have to showcase that you are a high potential talent there. Next, problem solver, right? So these go hand in hand, I would say, right? That you want to showcase that you're someone who can solve problems, take on challenges. And as a result, you're able to deliver great performance there. Okay. And this goes back to whether you are being resourceful, solution-oriented mindset. And lastly, this all ties in possibilities mindset. So this is all about future looking, forward looking, really thinking about new opportunities, new possibilities. How can we improve things, right? Looking ahead there. And that's going to really help position yourself as a high potential talent, whether it's considered for a next level type of opportunity there. Okay. All right. Is this helpful? If it is, type in a +1 here. Let me see. David mentioned that I'm doing a lot to showcase my personal brand on social media, including LinkedIn. That is fantastic to hear that, David. That's great. Yes, you want to be top of mind, right? Okay. Okay, let me see here. So let's move on now that we cover the high potential talent piece. Next is I want to share with you some success stories before we dive into the 10 steps to develop an effective job search plan. Right? I want to share with you some stories to inspire you and empower you of what's possible, but also understand like what are some of the challenges when it comes to job searching there. Okay, awesome. I see a lot of +1s coming in that this is resonating. All right, I see some familiar faces as well. That's great to hear. Okay. Okay. So the first story is a client of mine last year who joined Warner Bros. Games here. He is very passionate about the gaming industry. And when he first approached me, he actually wanted to move into the tech industry. And as he did his research, he discovered the gaming industry is what he was passionate about. And he made a big pivot. He pivoted from entrepreneurship, being on his own, to corporate for the first time as a manager of UX research. And he moved his entire family from Canada to the US. So this is what I consider a big pivot, a big change, right? Because you are going into the corporate world for the first time, moving abroad, and being a people manager for the first time. So like that's a big, big change. So I want to talk about some of the challenges or things that he did to overcome the challenges. So one of the big challenges that this person faced was, well, you don't have any corporate experience. You don't have any manager experience. And so like that was one of the challenges in terms of perception, right? So we had to really work on the branding of how to position him for success to change that perception there and to change that perception of like, hey, are you someone who would be loyal to a company versus being an entrepreneur? So we had to talk about all those things there. And one of the things that he did, right, to overcome essentially these perceived gaps was he actually had over 100 informational type of chats, like talking to UX researchers, talking to managers, directors, like to really build his network in this industry, to really learn like the ins and outs, to understand the trends, the challenges, the process and methodologies. He even like built a portfolio as well because in UX research, like people build out their portfolios. He took time to do that. He asked for examples as well so that he can learn from the best of the best. And that really helped him essentially increase the credibility, right? Because it showed that one, he was serious about making this pivot. But second, it was showing that he was knowledgeable. He did his research as well, right? And then third, he was actually building his network there. And so that really made a huge difference. And then ultimately that mindset, the confidence, believing that he had what it takes to take on this new role. And I knew that he really hit it off with the hiring manager, because being a gamer, like who really knew like the gaming industry and the games, that really built a lot of trust and credibility with the hiring manager there. So this is a story that I was really proud of, because there were a lot of challenges faced, but this person did not give up and really went above and beyond to make himself stand out, to break into this industry and eventually move from Canada to US with a much bigger like salary there. So that's something of what's possible. The next story is a client of mine, an executive client, who pivoted from the insurance industry to consulting in strategy. And for those who have a background in consulting, like strategy consulting is actually really hard to get into. It's and because he does have an actuarial background, like really solid, he was like a chief of staff type of role of strategy. The way he landed this opportunity was we really worked on a lot of the overall career narrative of his brand positioning and value proposition. And we actually revamped all his marketing materials. Like we worked with a writer as well to revamp his LinkedIn profile, his resume, his elevator pitch, cover letter, everything essentially to position himself to make this transition. And it did take a bit longer time for him, like almost about 6 months, because he was also in a very demanding full-time job there. And the way he landed this opportunity was actually through networking. Right, through networking, knowing other people, like senior, like partners at these consulting firms, who are actually not just partners, but people who are like very senior, like chairmen that he knew, to help him break into this industry and company to get a foot in the door. And there was a lot of preparation in terms of research, interview prep, nailing the messages, really thinking about it from a consulting perspective of how they solve problems. I've done a lot of case interviews as well. Like for those who go through case interviews, it's very stressful and demanding. And so there's a lot of this prep there. What I'm trying to share is that you don't just necessarily land a new opportunity when you're trying to pivot into a very competitive type of industry or role there. There's a lot of strategy and planning in place to make it happen. And I was so proud of him. Like he was able to get almost like 30% salary increase and a 5-figure signing bonus as well. And this is where a lot of that confidence comes in, of teaching people how to value of what you bring to the table and how you can help the company there. The third success story, another very proud client of mine who joined Amazon. This was about back in 2021, a few years ago here. She pivoted from nonprofit in education to tech, which is at Amazon, in employee experience, and literally doubled her salary. It was like life-changing. This was someone who was a single mom, and I was so proud of her to help her make this change, because she didn't think it was possible, but she was really passionate about making a change into another industry. And let me tell you, she did not just land this the first time. She received multiple rejections from all these other big tech companies that she interviewed for, like the Shopify, the Meta, all these other companies as well. But every time she received this rejection, she would look at, what are my key lessons? What are the key learnings? And she improved her messaging every single time. Like, this is one of the few clients I've had who literally had like a playbook of interview prep. Like, she would literally map out all these different type of interview questions and answers to help her prepare, because these interviews are very intense. Like going through like interviews at Amazon, or even Shopify, where you have to talk about your life story, they're very intense. And so you can't wing it. You have to do your research. You have to be strategic. You have to be intentional. You have to think about the stories that you want to tell to showcase, like, hey, how am I going to overcome certain challenges, right? When you're pivoting to a completely new industry or to a career, you have to showcase, like, how are you going to overcome certain challenges? And you need to anticipate what are those challenges as well, because that's a self-awareness piece. A lot of times the hiring managers want to see, are you self-aware? You don't want to just say like, oh yeah, no problem, I can come in and do all this. You want to say like, yeah, I may not have this. However, this is what I'm going to do. So for example, even this client, I think at first they wanted her to have some sort of experience in cloud management, because she was dealing with a group of engineers who was in that space. So she started taking the online certificate to learn more about that. right? So this is something you want to ask yourself, what can I do to increase my marketability? Is it through some online courses, certifications, or research that's going to close that perceived gap there? Okay. So these are 3 stories that I want to share with you. If this was inspiring, type in inspiring there. Like I purposely chose like more like challenging scenarios to show you like what is possible, right? If you are looking to make like something a similar change to, let's say, marketing to marketing in the same industry, that's the easiest change to make. When you're looking to change a different industry, different role, that is the hardest change to make, which means that it's going to take longer time, right? Because it's more complex. And you're going to have to be more strategic, more prepared, and really differentiate to stand out there. Okay, so something I want to challenge you to think about is what type of change am I making? Is it an easy change or is it a difficult change? If it's a difficult change, you want to reset your expectations of your timing and the time that you're going to spend in investing in this change there. Okay, yes, inspiring indeed, motivational. Okay, amazing to hear that. Okay, so now I'm going to walk you through the 10-step job search plan, right? These are the 10 steps I'm going to walk you through. I mean, some of these steps you probably are aware of already, but I want to share with you these steps and I'm going to provide you tips along the way. If you have questions, feel free to ask that. And then later on, I'm going to be walking you through how to leverage ChatGPT to accelerate your job search success. So stay tuned for that there. I will be providing 10 different scenarios and prompts that you can use to help you leverage this powerful tool for free. Okay, so the first step to this 10-step job search plan is discovering your essence and personal brand. So this goes back to the clarity piece, the soul searching piece, right? Who are you, who you are, what you want, what's important to you, right? This is like, think of like the big picture life coaching of assessing your skills, your strengths, your knowledge, your preferences, your ideal role, type of industry and companies that you want to work at, your ideal salary, what type of lifestyle that you want. Getting clear on that is really important because that's going to help you set out your evaluation criteria and what are your non-negotiables. Something that I've noticed this past year is I've seen more people start a job and quit a job relatively quickly within the year. Some like 3 months, 6 months, all under a year. And there's this a lot of research articles been saying that there's this quick quitting out there. And part of it, I feel like, because there's so many changes that's happening in the landscape of the market, right? Like the layoffs and all that. So a lot of reorgs happening. And second of all is, people are looking for something different, right? In terms of since the pandemic, they're looking for something different. And so sometimes you may not have got really clear what that looks like yet, or there is that miscommunication, misalignment of how the employer is communicating the expectations of the role versus what you imagine it to be there. And so I really want to challenge you, for those who are not really clear what you want, like take the time to do this work. Take the time to think about what are my non-negotiables. So for example, I'm hearing more and more right now, like remote work is really important to me, or I don't want to go in the office more than like 2 times a week. Well, then make sure you ask those questions when you are doing these informational interviews or you're going through the interview process to set that expectation there, right? Like I had a client last year, a fellow career coach interviewing for a university. She had multiple like offers and opportunities there. And there was one that really, really wanted her, made the offer, but required her to be in the office 5 days a week. And it was like an hour and a half commute. Like for her, that is like a non-negotiable. So she had to decline that opportunity. But then another one came along where it only required like a few days a week in the office there. So get clear on those negotiables. And then your personal brand, this is something I always talk about, is you want to connect the dots based on what you want and what you have to offer. We want to look at essentially what are the needs, like what's really important to the hiring manager. So think of it from the employer's perspective, so that you can really tailor your messagings to their needs. What are those top 3 sound bites, the keywords, the stories that you want to highlight to showcase that you have that relevant competency there? Okay, so that's a step 1. To be honest, this is a lot of work. If you're really not clear what you want, you're gonna have to spend time doing that. And if you don't know what your brand is, what differentiates you or what makes you marketable, these are like 2 foundational things that you want to do that's going to be a game changer for you there. Step 2 is determining your objectives and targets, right? So this goes back to understanding like what is your primary goal. So for some, if you are in the stage where you need to get a job ASAP, meaning that because you need to make money as soon as possible, that's really okay as well. So knowing that, hey, I may just need to find a job just ASAP, and this could be what I call a bridge job, right? A bridge job opportunity. But for some, it could be like, okay, my financial situation is okay. I'm not going to rush it. I want to find something that's the right fit for me. I'm going to take the time to do that. So just be clear on that so that you can set that clear timeline expectations for yourself there. Right? Getting clear on the targets. What's your targeted roles, organizations, and industries, right? I'll usually recommend no more than 3 industries, because for every industry search, it's like one search effort. Meaning if you have 3 of them, you want to triple your search effort. And that's what I learned when I was in recruiting. If I was recruiting in different industries, the type of profiles that people will be looking for will be different, right? So the more industries you have, the more effort it's going to take there. Third is to delve into the research. So this goes back to really doing your due diligence, right? Like really understanding what are the trends, challenges, and opportunities in this industry. What is really the culture of this company? What is like the organizational structure like? Get a good understanding of that, because all this is what we call like intelligence is going to help you to have better conversations, whether it's through networking or interviews. I would say I don't think like people will do this, but I don't think people do enough of it to give themselves a competitive edge. So if you really take the time to understand, let's say, the organization structure of how the teams are structured or the roles, it's going to help you have better conversations of how, let's say, the role that you're going after, that you're looking for, ties into the bigger picture of the company there. Okay, so doing that research, whether it's through online search or talking to people, that's all going to be helpful there. Step 4, decide on your search methods. So this is another big one, right? So this is actually beyond like the method of applying online. What are some of the search methods that you can use that will increases your chances of success, right? So by default, most people will apply online. Another method could be reaching out to headhunters, recruiters, reaching out to people at your target companies, right? Reaching out to people, let's say your classmates, alumni, church, whatever that is. Like think of all these different type of possibilities of methods you can use of search methods, or looking at different type of job boards, or attending different events or conferences. Map out all these different essentially possibilities for you that you want to also approach it, that will help you increases your visibility and opportunities there. Okay. Step 5, develop your career story and glowing introduction. So this is part of like that elevator pitch, right? Anytime you meet someone, they'll always say, tell me about yourself. So you want to have this 1 minute, 2 minute story ready. From my experience, most people by default will go through their entire career history. Like I graduated from here, start working here, then move to here. That's what most people do. If you want to stand out, really think about things around like, what are you passionate about? Right, to showcase a bit of who you are, like what drives you. What is your reputation, what you've been known for, or what are you really good at? And then if you want to give credibility, talk about your career history in a way that showcases your area of expertise and give highlights of like your career accomplishment, proud accomplishments. And then you want to wrap it with talking about where are you now in your career? What are you looking for? So this is really that interest piece of that of present, like what's important to you and the purpose of why you want what you want. And so that will actually peel the onion a little bit more for people to really know what motivates you, what you care about, what are you great at, what are you proud of, what are you looking for there. Okay. So I'm going to take a pause for a moment before I move into next step. Does this resonate? If it does, type in a +1. Let me know here which step you may need to work on further to help you stand out or increase your chances of success. So step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 more steps that I'll be sharing after this there. All right. Okay, let me see. A question here is, if I have switched fields more than 4 times in my career, is that a bad signal? Well, it depends on how you tell your story. It depends on how you tell the story. Your fields 4 times in my career is out of accident. So to me, the way I like to think about it is like, what is the connection? What's the relation? And how has each field or role that you've had help you with, this next role there, right? So this goes back to storytelling there. Sometimes people may be confused, meaning like, hey, why did you switch all these different careers or different fields? But if you can tie in the story and connection around that, it's not bad. Okay. Great question there. Yeah, sometimes I hear from people like, am I all over the place? I mean, that could be, right? Sometimes people can feel like they're all over the place. And this is where you want to find like, what's the common thread? What is the theme here? So as an example, I have a client of mine who is really passionate about the space of employee engagement, mental health, happiness, tech health. Like, these are all the things that she's interested in. And she thought that she's like all over the place. And when I was trying to look at it, I was like, they actually all tie in together, right? Like in terms of mental health and happiness tie into employee engagement, right? Health ties into employee engagement as well. So if you can tie the things together, it's not necessarily a bad thing there. Okay. All right, let me see. What step that most people want to work on? Step 5. Okay, quite a few of you wrote step 5. Step 1 to 5. Someone wrote, who's that? Step 1 to 5 here. Okay. So this is good to know. Step 5 that most of you want to work on. I can tell you, step 5 is actually one of the things I really get my clients to nail, because you're always essentially think of not only introducing yourself, you're pitching yourself. So you really want to nail your story there. Right. And so I actually have my 6 piece formula. Like I just walk you through it. For those who really want more of that, you can check out my website. I do have like a mini course specifically on mastering your glowing introduction there. And I have like dozens and dozens of examples from previous clients that you can use for inspiration there. Okay. So that's great to hear. Yeah, nail that pitch. You can have a 30-second version, a 1-minute version, and even a 2-minute version. I even had some clients that they're going through longer interviews, like academic interviews or like life story interviews, where they have to prepare a 5-minute introduction to talk about themselves. And so sometimes that is necessary, but I would say majority of the time, keep it under 2 minutes, which is about 200, 250 words there. Okay, let's move on, shall we? So step 6 is to design a marketable resume and optimize LinkedIn profile. Okay, so this is the piece where, right, most employers or people what they'll look at there. From my experience, like having seen so many of like resumes and LinkedIn profiles, by default, most of the times people will communicate only the responsibilities of what they've done, but not what they've done differently. So this is where I want to challenge you to think about your value, your accomplishments, your results, your performance, your career progression, your promotions, like all these things I was talking about earlier, that if you can sprinkle that into your resume and LinkedIn profile, it's going to elevate essentially the value of what you bring to the table there. Okay. And it's really about changing perspective. So if you have trouble doing this on your own, I recommend either talking to a friend or a family member, like talking about things that you've done and getting to see like, hey, wait a minute, that's actually pretty interesting, or that's really unique there, right? And you know what? These days now with ChatGPT, which I'll show you later on, you can write all these things down and then use a tool like ChatGPT to help you make your resume and LinkedIn profile more impressive and interesting, or for them to for the tool to help you identify opportunities to make it more, let's say, metrics driven there. Okay. So those are some of my key tips. In terms of making it, essentially the key tip is really making it more accomplishments and results driven there so that you stand out. Step 7, draft compelling outreach messages. So this ties into the pre-networking here. Is you want to prepare yourself with outreach messages, as that's going to help you save time. When I was in recruiting, for me to present, let's say, half a dozen candidates to an employer, I know in order to get to like my top 5 type of candidates, I need to reach out to about 100 people on LinkedIn. And so I would have these messages pre-written out, and then I would tweak it accordingly depending on who I send it to there. But at least I have like the bulk of my messaging mapped out there, whether it's for a cold connection or a warm connection. You want to have these messages ready, and that's going to help you essentially be more efficient with your outreach. What you want to keep in mind is when you do these outreaches is you want to make sure you do adjust the name, adjust the title, because I've seen those mistakes as well. It's common. Sometimes people may make those mistakes because you're copying and pasting. So you just want to be mindful of that there. But the point here is that by having these messages, it's going to help you be more efficient. One of the techniques I always recommend my clients to do is that if you want people to refer you, you want to make it easy for them to refer you. And how do you do that? Provide them your third person bio, right? Have an introduction to make it easier for others to either forward or copy and paste and make tweaks on their own. I call it that referral message there, right? And this is going to help you manage and control your brand. Like, how do you want people to introduce you, right? Like, oftentimes, like, let's just think about this. Like, I get this request a lot too, or I like to help my clients to make introductions. It's much easier if my client gives me a version to use and I tweak it along the way than me having to spend time thinking about what do I want to say about this person, right? You are actually managing your brand and narrative there. Okay, so that's the step 7. Step 8 is to develop a strategic networking plan. So this goes back to, do you have a clear list of target companies, target industries? And from there, identify at least 100 people that you want to reach out to. Start with your warm network. Then move into your warm network, the second level type of introductions. Then move into cold network, finding people on LinkedIn who work at your target companies, right? From there, then that's when you prioritize who you want to reach out first. You don't want to reach out to all 100 people first. You want to test things out. For example, you can set a goal that every week I'm going to reach out to 10 people. Right? And so start with those 10 people and see what the response is like. And from there, you can tweak to see if your messaging is really resonating or not. If you have a good outreach message, you should be able to get, a good response rate. If I would say if you're getting less than a 30% response rate, there's something wrong with the messaging. I know a lot of my clients, if they do it right, a lot of my clients have at least 80, 90% response rate. And it's nothing like a needy message. It's really like a warm type of messaging of acknowledging someone and showcasing curiosity there. Okay. Step 9 is to dedicate time to interview preparation and practice. So this is a huge component of the work I do as a coach, is the mock interviews, right? To get the offer, you really need to ace the interview. So, sometimes people think, well, I have all the qualifications that I'm looking for. Why am I not getting the job offer? And a big part of it is, as you move forward in the interview, you want to be able to move from talking about your past experience and qualifications to talking about the future of what you can do for the employer, right? As you move forward in an interview, you should have more information and intel about the job, about the company, about the challenges that they're faced with, about the goals of what they're trying to achieve. And from there, you should be able to customize your messaging as you move to like this 3rd round interview or 4th round interview, talking more about the employer than talking about your past there. And this is like really what I call it, that connect the dots technique of really focusing on their needs so that they feel like you understand them there. Okay. So this is a huge piece. One of the things that I do that I always recommend is to analyze the job. Meaning, when you prepare your interview, most people start with thinking about, okay, I need to have all these answers on tell me about yourself, motivation questions, behavioral questions. Most people start that way. Okay. But what I want to challenge you to do is think about, okay, let's dissect this job description. Let's analyze the conversation I had with the recruiter and really think about, okay, why is this job open? What are the common challenges? Why has it been difficult for them to fill the role? Like, think about all these questions, like how that, like analyze that, and then think about, okay, what is really important to them? They need someone to be able to do this, right? And this is what I should be highlighting more. Take the time to do that exercise first before you write out your answers. And that's going to help you have a more tailored type of messaging there. Okay. If this resonates, type in a +1. I can tell you from my experience, most people do not do this. Like, my key takeaway here is to understand the hiring needs to tailor your messages accordingly. Okay. That's very, very important there. Step 10 is to detect areas for improvement and adjust your strategy accordingly. So this goes back to, like, if you've done all these steps and if things are still not working here, we want to look for areas of opportunities for growth. How can I tweak, let's say, my messaging, my resume, or my networking approach, my interviews? You really want to have an honest conversation with yourself or with someone else to understand, like, but what's happening here, right? What can I do to improve? Like, am I being clear with what I have to offer? Am I being clear of what I want? Am I being clear of how I'm going to help the employer there? If not, how can I tweak that accordingly there? Okay, so All right. I see Aiden said this is really insightful. Lots of +1 coming in. Amazing, amazing. Okay. So these are the 10 steps. So tell me, out of these from 6 to 10 now here, what are the steps that you want to work on that you feel like you really need to improve your game to increase your chances of job search success? If you're not getting interviews, you probably want to look at how can I improve my resume or LinkedIn profile. Okay. If you're not hearing back from people from your outreach, you want to look at how can I improve my outreach messages there. Or if I'm not getting these meetings, you may want to look at how can I approach my networking plan. Okay. If you're getting interviews and not closing, you want to look at how do I improve my interview delivery there. Okay. With interview prep, something I want to talk about is there's the balance between you want to work on the content itself, what you want to say, but a big part of it is how do you say it? Meaning, this is the body language, the tone of voice, how well you connect with the person, how confident you are, how are you able to persuade and influence. That is like a big chunk of it to really seal the deal there. Okay. Let me see here. All right. So quite a few step 9, some step 6 here. Okay. Yeah, step 6. So then seeing the resume, LinkedIn profile to improve on. Okay. All right. What else here? Okay, this is good to hear that. Okay. All right. So looks like there's still a lot of you here. That's great to see that. I'm going to move on now to the next part of my training. This is like, oh, one more advice here. The tip here is to accelerate your job search success. You must have a plan, be well prepared, practice your messages a lot, and be proactive with your outreach. Right? So everything you learn here today is that teaching you what's their plan, how can you be better prepared to stand out? Okay. How do you practice your messaging and be proactive, taking the initiative, right? If you are just applying online, you are being reactive, right? We need to do more than that there. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the next segment of this training. This is like a brand new training for me here on ChatGPT. So I want to ask you all, have you tried out ChatGPT? Type in a yes or no. I'm curious to hear. ChatGPT was launched in like end of November, and since then, like millions of people have been using it, trying it out, and talking about it. I see a lot of my fellow coaches have been talking about it as well. And so I think it's really important to talk about this powerful AI tool, how it can assist you with your job search there. Okay. Have you been using it? All right. Yes, most of the no here. Okay. All right. Kristen said yes with 3 exclamation mark. Okay. Kristen, tell me what would you love about ChatGPT here? Okay. Okay, some of you have been using it. Okay, so this is great to know. I think it's so important. Like part of it is embracing technology, embracing change. To me, when I think about how do you really differentiate and stand out, is we can't ignore tools like this. Like AI is it's going to be here. It's not going to disappear. So we need to really educate ourselves. Personally, I love ChatGPT. People have been asking me like, do you think that's going to make our jobs disappear as a coach, and I don't. I actually think that it's actually going to help me as a coach, where I can really help my clients. I can better serve them by quickly responding to them, by giving quick feedback, let's say on the resume or the LinkedIn profile or interview prep. So I want to introduce you to some things to think about of what you can use ChatGPT for. For me, I primarily use it for my own business. Like I actually use it for social media content creation, for like my marketing blurbs for like this live stream today, for example. Like I use it for creating like course outlines, speaking proposals, all sorts of things, like you name it, that you can use it for. So here I'm going to dive in specifically on how to use ChatGPT for your job search. I'm going to give you 10 different type of possibilities, scenarios. There are so many more. I can only keep to 10 for you today, but hope this will open your eyes up to see, hey, this is something I can try out there. Okay. It may feel scary at first, but honestly, this is one of what I consider pretty user-friendly tool. I've actually paid hundreds of dollars investing in other type of writing AI tools. This one, I find it very user-friendly, very simple to use there. So let me share with you 10 different ways of using ChatGPT there. Okay, so the first one is using it to identify career possibilities. So for those who are feeling lack of clarity or direction, not sure what you want to do, you can use it to identify career possibilities. I actually did this with my client the other day and I was blown away. Like through our coaching, I was able to help her discover the new career path based on what she shared with me. Coming from like a sales background, and I was like, hey, you may want to consider doing a training type of work since you're really passionate about helping people. And as we went through our second session the other day, I was tracking all the things she was telling me. And so I actually used ChatGPT to come up with new career possibilities for my client as well. And I was so happy to see that that was what I was thinking, like most of the scenarios. And ChatGPT just gave even more like scenarios to think about there. So here is, for example, one prompt scenario. Suggest 10 potential career paths or job titles that would be a good fit for me based on my skills and interests in. You essentially insert what are you passionate about, right? What your preferences are or what you love doing, what's important to you, whatever that is, put in that blurb verbiage of things that you care about that matter to you. And you can even add in like, that you have a background in this as well, and how you can leverage that. And it's going to spit out, let's say 10 essentially potential career paths as well. Okay. So that's one way to help you with that. I was blown away when I saw this. I was like, this is so cool. This actually saves time as well. The next one is to optimize your resume, right? You probably have seen some of these. A lot of people talking about it. It's such a powerful tool to optimize your resume. You can use it to also create a resume from scratch. But personally, I would say if majority of you already have a resume, I would use it to fine tune it, to improve it, to make it sound better, sound more impressive and interesting. Okay, that's what I would use it for. Or you can ask for feedback as well. So here's one prompt that you can use. Review my resume, and then you paste your resume content and provide suggestions on how to improve it. Its format, content, and language for a insert job title position. Okay, so you can do it like that. If you want to go deeper, you can also paste, the job description as well. Like optimize my resume based on this job description for this title as well. You can try that as well. Now, for me, I used it for another client the other day. Instead of looking at the entire resume for ChatGPT to optimize, I find it could be it's a lot of content. What I would do is do it by segments, meaning I would do it, okay, for this role, cut and paste this role's content, and then optimize it by section. That way, I feel like you get stronger content because you can keep tweaking it along the way versus having the entire resume optimized there. Okay, you can have it optimize the summary section, the skill section, the experience section from there. Okay, I find that really powerful. You can even ask ChatGPT, reduce this sentence to say 20 words or make it a one-liner statement as well. Like I had a client who had a longer type of content of her role, and I wanted to make it more succinct. So I asked ChatGPT to make it more succinct, keep it within, let's say, half a page. You can give those kind of prompts as well. Okay. Is this exciting for those like who are new to this? Like I'm still playing around with this. Like I'm just blown away by a tool like this of how user-friendly it is, right? Third, you can use it to create your cover letter, right? Yes, ChatGPT can create a cover letter from scratch here. You can say, write a cover letter for this job title, position at this company, focusing on my experience in XYZ or industry, like you insert, and how they align with the job requirements. Here's the job description. And you paste it in there. Okay, so you can do that as well. What I find helpful, because I actually played around with this with another client as well, is you can either have it to create one from scratch for you, right? Or what I would say is fine tune what you already have. Like if you already written one and you already have the job description, you ask it to improve it. Okay. Or you can, this is like more levels here, is that once you have a new one and your existing one, you can ask it to combine it, like combine these two versions and optimize it as well. So you can play it around that way. And ultimately, okay, is that you want to make it sound like you. Okay. If it doesn't sound like you, if it's not accurate, do not use it. Okay. That's like one of my advice here is do not use something you don't feel like it sounds like yours not accurate there, right? Use your judgment. The great thing is here, it's giving you a framework, right? I can even ask ChatGPT like, hey, can you tailor it of highlighting more about why I'm interested in this company for these reasons, right? If you have specific reasons that you're interested in this company and why, tell ChatGPT that, like, here are my reasons. And ChatGPT will help you finesse it to make it sound better, right? Or why you're interested in this role. Add that in for the context there, okay? Fourth, craft an elevator pitch, right? So a lot of you said want to work on an elevator pitch. You can ask it to write you an elevator pitch as well, right? Here's another simple prompt. I'm sure that if you want a more specific one, we got to get more detailed, but here's a high level one. Guide me in creating a 30-second elevator pitch, highlighting my key skills, experience, and career goals for a job title and this and an industry sector. Right. Now, what I would suggest is that you provide more context of your own experience, right? Otherwise, it's just going to be very, very high level. If you want to get more specific, you need to provide enough context to get more specific there. Okay. All right. So someone asked, will ATS pick up the use of ChatGPT and throw out your resume? I don't know. That's a good question to ask someone who works in the industry there. I'm not sure. I'm sure there would be tools eventually, but I don't know in this currently right now that it would be like throw out your resume. That's a great question there. Yes. What else here? Okay, so moving on to the next one is fifth, providing insights and recommendations for developing job search strategy, right? So for those who are not sure of your search methods, you can ask ChatGPT for that as well. Develop a job search strategy for a whatever title that you're targeting, including target industries, companies, and potential networking opportunities. So you see here, if by listing industry, companies, and networking opportunities, ChatGPT will actually basically spit out those 3 things that you are listing as well, right? So be specific of the output that you want out there, okay? Or you can say, develop a 10-step job search plan for me, and it will give like a step-by-step as well, okay? 6, job posting analysis. So you can also ask ChatGPT of like to analyze a job posting. So you know how I recommend that when you're preparing for an interview, analyze a job to help you better prepare. You can do that as well. Analyze this job posting for a job, the title, at company, and identify the top skills and qualifications I should emphasize in my application materials. Okay. You can also paste the job description as well. Like here is the job description there. Right, so it gets even more specific there. Write networking messages, right? So this is another one. Remember I told you need to do like networking outreach messages? You can ask ChatGPT to do that as well. Craft a personalized LinkedIn message to connect with so-and-so at this company, expressing my interest in whatever industry and exploring potential job opportunities. Okay, so that's a simple prompt here. You can tweak accordingly, but by the way, I'm going to be very transparent. These prompts were actually provided by ChatGPT. I actually asked, okay, like it's like, what are ways we can use ChatGPT for job search? What are the different scenarios? I asked that first, and I can go, well, what are the prompts people should use for these scenarios? So then I got these prompts. Okay, now you can write different prompts. This is just a guide to help you get started of what is possible there. Okay. 8, anticipate and practice interview questions. So again, you can start preparing ahead of time when you have interviews and identify the 10 common interview questions for this job title with this job description. You can paste the copy and paste the job description that you have, right? And it's going to scan like what are the top ones. So that's a good start to help you anticipate. These are questions I can start preparing for there. 9th, write a thank you email after an interview. The prompt, write a thank you email to the interviewer for a whatever title, expressing my appreciation for the opportunity and reiterating my interest in the role. Okay. If you have more context, you can write, for example, add in blah, 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 blah. Add in that I love talking about this or I learned about this. So giving a bit more specific will essentially add in like your version of what you actually want to say there. Okay. This is a very general prompt example I'm giving you, but if you want to add specific, you just do that, whatever you want to add, okay? Yeah, you guys are loving this. Let's see, Rita said, love it. Okay, I hope this is going to get you more excited about your job search. Okay, number 10 is skill development resources. Okay, so here you go. If you're looking for make a change and you're not sure what to do to up your game here, you can ask ChatGPT to identify resources, recommend resources or online courses to help me improve my whatever specific skill to increase my employability for insert job title, positions in the industry sector there. Okay. So it could give you recommendations as well. Now, keep in mind, this is really ChatGPT, like the information is up till 2021 there. So you gotta keep that in mind from a timeline perspective as well, is that they have information up till 2021 there. Okay. So tell me, is this helpful? Like, tell me if it's helpful, type in a +1. If you want to try this out, type in a yes, like heck yes, that you're going to try it out. Is there a cost? That's a question here. So the initial, it is free to essentially sign up. There is a premium version. I actually have a premium version. I pay for it, where I have ChatGPT 4. So it's the next newer version as well. I find it worth it because ChatGPT 4 is essentially more advanced, more concise content. What you may find initially, right, with the ChatGPT 3 version is the content could be very verbose, very long-winded, right? When you get those initial versions of content. And that's okay. You can ask in ChatGPT, can you make this more succinct, make this more concise? You can ask about that as well too. Okay. Whereas ChatGPT 4, I find it's more specific and more succinct there. Okay. Good. All right. Yes. +1. Oh yeah. All right. A lot of you said +1, +1. You're going to try this. Honestly, it is such a great free tool to use. I'm going to offer you some tips as well for those who are trying this out. Some tips is you want to be clear and specific when it comes to talking to ChatGPT or asking for specific things. Is you want to be succinct, meaning you don't want to be long-winded with your sentence. Like you can say, create a resume for this, or for me, I would say like create a training proposal on this. Provide an outline, learning objectives, and who's it for. So get clear and specific of what the output you want in order to get the best output there. Okay, so get clear on your criteria. And this is why actually there's jobs now around like prompt engineering. Like these jobs, it's like you want to be great at giving good prompts so that you can get good output there. Second is use concise language, right? Going back to the specificity, using concise language so that it understands you there. Third, provide good context. To me, this is really important. Like if you want to have tailored output that's about you, give good enough context of whatever stories you want to highlight, the background that you have, things that you like, stories that you want to highlight. Give that kind of context so that they can incorporate that sounds more like you there. If you don't give the context, it's going to be very vague and very general there, and it doesn't make you stand out. Fourth is to break down complex queries. So for example, you know how I talked about the resume, instead of trying to write entire whole resume, break it down into specific chunks by category, like by sections. And I think you're going to get a better quality type of output there. Okay. So I find that really helpful. Like if you're trying to, I don't know, like for those who are trying to like, let's say write an essay as an example, like break it down into different sections and you're going to get much better output there. Lastly is to set the desired tone, format, or structure. So you can ask ChatGPT, like write it in a direct tone, motivational tone, whatever tone, like professional tone. I tried it once, like whimsical tone, inspiring tone, encouraging tone, whatever tone that you want, and see what kind of output you get. It's actually very fun and interesting when you ask it to write in different tones, or the format you want. Do you want it in lists? Do you want it in an essay format? Or sometimes I use it for my social media posts. I'll say write one sentence per paragraph. So it makes it more succinct there, right? Or the structure. Do you want list, right? Provide 3 bullet points for this. So you can train it to do all of that to get to your desired outcome there. Okay. Yes. Yes. OpenAI is busy right now in case you're not getting in. Yes, so it gets busy. The free version, sometimes you may not get in because a lot of people are using it. With the premium version, the paid version, you are pretty much guaranteed to get in there. Okay. Okay, so that's all I have for today's training. I covered a lot in today's training. I really wanted to add value because I know that there are a lot of people looking for jobs right now. And this topic was a very popular one for many of you. So I hope you find this helpful. If you did, I want to share with you that I have a free LinkedIn Learning Nano course coming out in less than 2 weeks on April 10th. It's on pivoting your career. So I will be talking more about from a pivoting standpoint of things to think about from a mindset, overcoming your fears, confidence, evaluating opportunities. And then there's going to be some tips around like the resume, the LinkedIn and all that, but I'll have more content around thinking from a change management standpoint. So I would love for your support when this comes out. Check it out. You can follow me on LinkedIn to find out when it comes out. I'll be sharing that link. Or you can also join my mailing list at mymarketability.com, where you'll be the first to know when this course comes out there. I'm really proud of this course. I feel like this course is going to help a lot of people. Like my initial course that came out last year on presenting with confidence, we have about 10,000 learners already. And so I feel like this course, because of the state of the economy we're in right now, and people are looking for a change, looking for new jobs, I feel like this would benefit a lot of people. So if you are here with me today, like I would love for you to take this, to share this, to help me promote it, give me like a 5-star review or give me like a testimonial. I would really appreciate that, as that's going to help me create even more of these valuable courses for you all. The Nano course is completely free to take. So there's no cost to it. So it's free for you to attend. So I would love for you to help me to share, spread the word. Like that's my only ask. If you like this kind of training today, this is more like Nano style type of a training. So you're going to hear more about that when it comes live in a couple of weeks. Okay, awesome. Okay, so if you want to learn more, visit my website, mymarketability.com. I have tons of free resources there. Hop onto my mailing list to get the latest updates. If you're interested in my service, you'd like to get more help, feel free to email me at info@mymarketability.com there. And you can also book a consultation call. Make sure to follow me at Diana YK Chan, either on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram there. Okay. I'm most active on LinkedIn, where I provide a lot of daily tips. YouTube is where I house a lot of my long form training content. So for those who want more help, let's say on interviews, on how to pitch yourself effectively, building trust, I have a training on that. Or recently I did one on how to communicate your value there. Okay. And then Instagram, you'll find a lot of my short reels, like shorter content that's easier to digest there. Okay. Okay. So we have a little bit of time left. Any questions? Let me see here. I want to hear from you. Like, what is your biggest takeaway from today's training? For those who are still here with me, can you share with me, like, what is your biggest takeaway from today's training? What are your key learnings and key action items? I would love to hear from you here. And if you have any questions, feel free to type it in as well. Tell me, what's your biggest takeaway from today's conversation? What action will you take there? I would love to hear from you. Let me see how many of you are still live on my session here right now. Wow, over 100 of you were live today in this session. This was definitely a popular topic. If you want me to do more training on LinkedIn, let me know. This is definitely the most popular topic live that I've had here. Wow, okay. I'm just looking at my LinkedIn right now. Okay, still about 180 of you are still on this session here. Awesome. So let me see. Was there some comments? Thank you. Yes. Yes, I know April 10 is the Easter Monday. I know that. But LinkedIn scheduled it on an Easter Monday there. You know what? I guess it's the topic is relevant, right? It's a new beginnings here. Yes. Thank you. Positive mindset. Okay. Thank you for the compliment. You're amazing. I appreciate that. Researching and planning the job search. Okay. All of the job search strategies. Okay, that's great to hear of your learning. Okay, very helpful. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. How to do the job search other than online. That's fantastic to hear that. Yeah. Oh, yes, that's good. Oh, thank you. Wonderful and inspiring. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Wow, today's like I got to look at all the comments here today. This was a busy one today. Okay. Aiden said, I think one of the most helpful parts of me that I need to practice is moving from talking about past experience and what you did to what you can provide for the company. Oh, amazing. That's a great takeaway, Aiden. That will really shift the conversation when you can start thinking it from that perspective. It will really showcase essentially the potential piece, that growth and possibility piece here. Okay. Yes. Believe in yourself. Yes, David. Thank you. Great to see you again. All right. And by the way, the replay is available on my YouTube channel, so feel free to check that out or share that with others who can benefit from this. Rita said, I love this presentation. I need to go back to step 1 and work on my clarity again and work through ChatGPT. Amazing, amazing. Yes, you can use ChatGPT to help you with the clarity there, Rita. Yes, yes. Yes, if you attended late, no worries. You can go to the beginning of the session through here on LinkedIn or go through my YouTube channel as well. You'll see the whole recording is there. Okay. How to increase exposure. Yes, that's a key one. One thing I'm going to tell you guys, I would say, because I've been doing this for a decade now, I really believe, like when I think about the today's competitive job market, it is so essential to learn how to brand, market, and sell yourself effectively with confidence. This is such an important skill, I would say, when you think about it. If you want to get promoted, get a new job, get new opportunities, or if you're thinking of starting like a side hustle, you're constantly pitching yourself. Like for me, I have like half a dozen sales calls every single week. So I'm practicing the skill of pitching myself, my service every single week. And so the more you do it, the easier it gets. It may feel awkward at first, but if you can set a goal or target for yourself to practice advocating for yourself, talking about your strengths and skills, your successes, that's going to make you a very marketable type of candidate there. Right? Not just for full-time job opportunities. I believe for those who are looking to start their own, let's say, side hustle or own business, you need to know how to pitch yourself, how to market yourself effectively to get essentially leads and clients there. Okay. So that's one of my messages for you there. Yes. Signs of high potential talent, past to future orientation. Okay. I'm glad that resonated with you there as well, Anderson. All right. Yes. Christina share biggest takeaway, developing your career story and glowing introduction. Great info and presentation, Diana. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise. I was typing like mad as I didn't want to miss anything. That's great to hear. So you know what? What's great is there is the recording and replay. So feel free to take a look at that. We'll be adding the timestamps later for easy viewing. If you want to just hop onto a very specific section there, you can do that, and you can share that with others as well. Like this is definitely a hot topic today. So many of you were attending live with me. So definitely I'll be sharing this replay again with the audience there. Awesome. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions before I sign off here? Okay, let me see. There's a question here from someone on YouTube. How long will it take an average person to find a job in today's market? So research shows typically it takes about 16 weeks. So that's about 4 months there. That's like the average there. From my experience, so depending on obviously the level of a role, like this average is like, it depends on what level of role. 4 months is about there, 4 to 6 months. For more of my senior level clients, like the director, VP, C-level clients, that could be 6 months or more there. But I would say on average, that 4-month mark is usually the average from when you start searching or getting clear what you want to landing. I have had clients who land like in a month. Like those are the what I consider exception, meaning that they either really leveraged their network and had referrals and was able to move through a very fast process. And this is why I think it's really important, like for those who are looking to change what I consider bigger change of industry or careers, you want to make sure you have the financial runway. Meaning if you are, let's say, unemployed, you want to essentially like think of the worst case scenario. Like if I was unemployed for 6 months or a year, am I able to survive that? And is it worth making that change? Okay, I think that's really important to have that realistic conversation with yourself and your family members. Like, does this make sense there? Okay. And sometimes it could mean that for some people, hey, I may need a bridge job first before I get into this bigger, the ideal job that I really want. Okay. Awesome. Well, great timing. So we are at the 90-minute mark today of this training session. Thank you so much. It sounds like today this was a really hot topic. I'm going to consider thinking about more job search topics to train if you're interested. I do plan on actually hosting more private webinars and workshops in the coming months where we can do deeper dive. Like you can join me on Zoom that I can see you and talk to you as well. So if you are interested in that, like feel free to DM me and join my mailing list, because that's something I plan on doing in the coming months, is offer more private training, workshop style, where I can really interact with you via video as well, not just through the chat room there. Okay. Where I can provide more support there. Okay. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. I hope you got a lot of value from today's training. Feel free to message me if you really like this training, share it with others. Feel free, if you want, you can write a LinkedIn recommendation on my LinkedIn profile as well. That always helps to help me reach a bigger audience there. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you all. You all take care. Bye for now.